Cruising around different parts of Brooklyn, New York, looking for a location to review the Riese Müller Packster Touring 80. This is a pretty intense cargo bike. It's really spacious up front. 80 is talking about 80 centimeters from here to here. So it's actually a little bit longer if you're able to use that angle and maybe build around the front. They also have a 60 centimeter version. And actually, I'm here with Chris from Propel Bikes. This is one of your bikes at the shop.
Yeah.
And we were looking at this, studying it before we came out here to do the review. There are really a lot of options. And so maybe what I'll do is cut to his shop and we can go through those real quick and, use the laptop.
All right, cool.
Okay, so we're back at the shop. Chris, I was hoping you could just walk us through some of the many different options for the Paxster.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Paxster starts at about $5,000 for the base model. It's the Touring with the 10-speed derailleur, the Bosch CX motor, 20 miles an hour, and a 60 centimeter bed.
Okay, and that means like from here to like there?
Right, so this is the extra long one. It's an 80 centimeter.
Okay.
And it's basically available in two sizes. And the lengthwise, it's available with two different drivetrains. You can get either the Touring, which is the 10-speed Dior rear derailleur.
Nice, it's what we got here. Sweet.
Or optionally, you can also get it with the New Vinci internally geared hub and the belt drive. And then from there, you also have options for the motor system. So you can get the standard high torque CX motor, which is limited to 20 miles an hour.
Right.
Or for those that want to go a little faster, they can get the high-speed version, which is the performance line speed, which goes 28 miles an hour.
Okay.
And that's basically what the options consist of. And there's different color options. There's two different color options as well. And that, makes up a lot of different variations. But, that's it.
Okay, well, we'll get back out there. Thanks.
Cool.
Okay, so hopefully that helps. You can see there's a lot of ways to slice this thing. We were talking to your brother earlier, and he was like, "Yeah, this is so cool. Like if I was gonna get a bike, it saved up your money. This one right here is $51.49. So, you're spending a little bit more." But he was like, "Man, if I was gonna get a cargo bike, this would totally be the one I'd get." He liked the suspension. He liked how large it was. The fact that you can get this as a speed pedelec. I really don't know any other electric cargo bikes that offer that.
Yeah, really only Riese Müller.
Yeah, and then the belt drive and the New Vinci, which you could shift at standstill. That's really nice to have, because this bike, we were trying to weigh it earlier. We actually went off of what they say on their website. They've been pretty accurate with the other bikes that I have weighed. It's about 80 pounds. So when you're dealing with an 80-pound bike plus any additional cargo, whether it's kids or just gear, it's nice to be able to shift gears without actually pedaling, and that's what the New Vinci offers. What we're looking at here is a 10-speed Shimano Dior. We got trigger shifters on the right. Pretty traditional. I think this is 11 to 36 teeth back here. Where is Dior in terms of drivetrain quality from Shimano?
It's kind of mid-level spec. It's not high-end, but it's good quality, and it's commonly spec'd on e-bikes. It's a good quality kind of mountain bike.
More durable,
spec.
maybe?
Yeah. It's something you're more commonly find on like a mid-spec mountain bike or something like that. So.
And you tend to be pedaling pretty hard on mountain bikes and torque and stuff, and that's the same thing here. So what we're looking at is the standard Bosch Performance Line CX. I say standard because I'm talking about the speed. This goes 20 miles per hour assisted, but CX means high torque. And it offers 75 Newton meters of torque instead of 63 on the generic performance line. So that's nice. And in fact, it's interesting because when you switch over to the speed drive, I think that one only puts out like 63. So you're losing a little bit of torque, but you get the higher speed. And if you're a delivery person or maybe you're just a little bit stronger, you don't mind helping out. 63 is quite a bit, and 75, again, that's their mountain bike specs mid-drive. Just trying to explore the options with you guys a little bit. The frame is aluminum alloy. The Touring model that we're looking at only comes in this light gray, but I believe there's like kind of a black or a dark gray. I like how visible the light colors are, but I understand that sometimes it's nice to go with dark all the way across because the motor is dark, the battery's dark, fenders. There are so many accessories with this, so I want to touch on some of those. We got plastic SKS fenders. This rack here, this is a Riese Müller spec rack, but it is rack time compatible. And then it's got this Bibia, it's kind of a rubber band latch system. It's really cool. It's adjustable. This costs extra. You can get this rack on some of the other Riese Müller bikes just standard, but it's like $149 extra. even these wooden like plaques that you see here, those cost a little bit extra. They have a child seat cargo box, and then they have a cover. So there are a bunch of different options. I've listed some of those at the website. You can see them at the Riese Müller website too. But I'm going to continue just talking about what comes with it. So we've got another fender up front. Do you remember the travel on this, Chris? Was it like
50 millimeters?
50 millimeter suspension. That thing actually works pretty well. It doesn't have lockout or anything, but it does have preload adjust. And when I was riding this over all the bumps here, getting here on the sidewalk and everything, I could really feel that. And even standing up, I was kind of like, just trying to test it, like give this thing a good feel. And the tires, I think, really help smooth it out as well. So Schwalbe Big Bend Plus. These are new. They seem to be really well suited to electric bikes. A little bit fatter, 2.15 in terms of width right there. Reflective sidewall stripes, along with these cool reflectors. I've seen that on a couple of the Riese Müller bikes. So you're really going to be visible. And part of that is the integrated lights. So Bush & Müller headlight up here, Numotech, and then we've also got a top light mini in the back. Those run off the main battery pack, and this is the 500 watt from Bosch. So Power Pack 500, the older batteries were 400 watt hours, so you're getting 25% more capacity, and that's really useful when you're riding with a heavier bike with load. You can even upgrade to a second battery pack if you get the box or the child seat up front, and that makes perfect sense because I guess they assume you're going to be carrying more stuff. You're really getting this to be a workhorse, and I believe the battery mount's like right here. The Bosch display is really cool because it actually balances out the two batteries, and it helps you to kind of drain them both equally instead of cycling just your first battery again and again and again and possibly wearing it down quicker. So that's cool. Love that they've included a little flick bell here. We've got these ribbed, rubberized grips, hydraulic disc brakes, Tektro Ariga Comp. I think we were looking at 160 in the front. It was like, oh, okay. And then in the back, it's like 203 millimeters, so really heavy duty. And I think a lot of the rider weight is going to be more towards the back. But it's great to have disc brakes, especially hydraulic, the whole way across, because you could end up with a bunch of weight up front. And this kickstand does a really great job of securing the load. The bike feels really solid and stable if you're loading it. It's not like the wheel's going to turn and tip it or anything. It's double leg, it's custom made, aluminum alloy, and it's really easy to get it to stow. You just push the bike forward and it clunk, pops right up. Does a pretty nice job that way. The other thing that struck me about this bike is, while it is only a one size fits all, you've got a good angle here on the seat tube, and so the higher you go, the more spread there is here in terms of reach. And then there's 6 little, button points or something, so these handlebars can slide up or down, and you can end up with a nice upright seating position, or a little bit more aggressive. Maybe you're on the speed version, or you're completely emptied at the end of a delivery, and you want to take it down and get a little bit more aggressive and aerodynamic. That's pretty cool and really well done. I've seen these other stems like this, and I guess technically that's the stem. This is like the telescoping steering tube, but I've seen other ones like this, but they don't have those button points, and you just really have to clamp down up here. I think it feels more secure to me. And I love that they've overbuilt this tubing so that the cables and everything are integrated. The frame is really clean. Considering this is an electric bike, the weight is kept relatively low, center out of the way. You'll notice this bar here protects the top of the battery pack. One thing you don't see is bottle cage bosses. You could always mount some on the saddle. You could upgrade and get this little rack back here, which, by the way, is child seat compatible for certain children's seats. So if you're doing the family thing, you got some maybe older children up front and then like an infant in the back. Really just a lot of options. And then 27.5 on the wheel diameter in the back and 20 up front. So the 20 brings the, I guess they tend to be stronger because they're not as large, and it brings the center of gravity lower, and it just mounts that axle. That dropout point is a little bit lower. It brings the front of the bike down. What are your thoughts on why they go with a bigger wheel in the back? Oh, we don't, even though we got helmets. It's all good, man. We'll get out of here. Thank you. I always try to find interesting locations to film these things just to keep it fun. So we were up there, but that's private property. They're doing construction. They're like, we don't want you guys to get bonked on the heads. And I was joking, like, we got helmets, but it's all good. So we moved to the sidewalk. Chris, I think the last question I asked, it was just like the larger rear wheel size. I mean, that's not 26, that's 27.5. That's almost like a mountain biking.
Yeah, I think part of it is that they have this wider rim and the great tire available, the Supermoto X, so it's just it's very comfortable, you know, with that wider tire, a lot more stable, a lot less prone to go out of true or that sort of thing with a narrower rim. So you know, having that sort of overbuilt wheel works really well.
When you guys are always customizing your bikes, and you've upgraded and got the rear rack, but I noticed that the bolt back here was kind of funky, and you were like, no, I think normally it comes with like a quick release skewer. So what's going on there? Can you walk me through that?
So this has an 80 centimeter bed, but they actually wanted more cargo capability, so we're actually attaching a Surly trailer to the rear of it. Wow. And they'll have another several feet of trailer space on the back.
Oh, so, man, someone's going hardcore.
Yeah. So this is actually for a catering company. They do food deliveries and that sort of thing, and they just really loaded up. And they actually got rid of their vans, and they replaced it with this bike.
Really?
And they have 2 bikes currently, and this is their 3rd one, and it's just
from Riese Müller, all of them?
The other ones are different cargo bikes, but we're very excited to have a really purpose-built cargo bike with the Bosch system from Riese Müller. I really couldn't ask for more, so they're pretty stoked about it, and we are too.
How cool is that? So it's been an evolution. They tried electric bikes, they liked them enough, and now they're like, oh, this looks cool, let's try this one.
Yeah.
That sounds great, man. And Riese Müller is a German company. They've been around since kind of the early 90s when they started making bicycles. They made a full suspension folding bike, and then they got into electric, and now they're over in the US. So you're one of the first dealers to bring these here. That's why I'm here checking them out with you. I appreciate the opportunity. Do you have anything else to say before we go for a ride, just about the Paxster?
Yeah, it's just the Paxster drew upon some of their success with some of their other cargo bikes, which one of them is the Load, which I'm sure we'll be doing a review on as well.
Yeah, is that one right up there?
That's this one.
The blue one? Sweet.
And so that's a full suspension cargo bike. This one, it just brings the price down a little bit. This one starts at about $5,000, and the other one starts at about $6,000.
Okay.
And I think it's a very capable bike at $5,000, and you know, and just I love that it's modular. And the one other thing which I think is really great about this bike is that it's narrow. Some of the other cargo bikes you might see, they're kind of a little bit wider.
Yeah.
They really don't need to be. As long as you can make the frame strong enough and that it's narrow, you might as well have it narrow, because when you don't have a load on the bike, you can kind of fit through traffic and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not as such a big deal in some of the wider places like Colorado or
where you got plenty of space, right?
But in New York, this becomes a really big deal. So, you know,
you can still cut through traffic, like on your way back. Or I was actually noticing how maneuverable this is for such a long bike. It handles pretty well. You are somewhat limited, you know, with any cargo bike, a stretch bike, you're gonna have to. I've had to kind of like drag the rear wheel and kind of back forward, do multi-point turns a couple times today, just because it is so long. But you don't get the utility unless you have the cargo space.
Right. So. You brought up a great point about the handling, and I think that's something you'll find on all the Riese Müller bikes, that they're just very well designed and they're well thought out. Some of the other front loader bikes I've ridden, they just really don't handle very well, and you get kind of this like shimmy in the front wheel when you're going downhill and stuff like that.
Stuff. Yeah.
And these are just really stable, and it's just, you could tell that a lot of thought went into it. And you know, it's funny, I asked Heiko about that, the co-founder of Riese Müller was in Germany, and it was just like, why is your bike so much more stable than the other ones? It's like, it's not that complicated. To him, it's not that complicated.
Mechanical engineers.
But I guess,
I try not to make this like electric bike promotion. I'm trying to review this, but this is really top of the line product that we're looking at here. And in the past, when I've looked at electric cargo bikes, it was like, it exists, you know, it was just cool because there weren't any options.
Yeah.
And now you start to see some more options, and you can tell the difference, whether it's the battery placement, the drive system. This isn't a hub motor. You know, the mid drives are more efficient. They're better at climbing. When you shift gears, you're empowering that motor. And you know, we should probably just jump into the display system here. So Back to the motor, 75 Newton meters of torque, 350 watt. You know, Bosch says 250, whatever. It peaks above 500 watt. It's very capable. It measures your rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and pedal torque. So it's very responsive. It's one of the best systems out there, in my opinion. And then there's like a 17-tooth sprocket, and it spins about 2.5 times for every pedal rotation. So it's enabling that motor. It keeps the motor pretty compact, you know, and some of the other systems are a little quieter. This one kind of has a ring, ring. You hear it, especially in the higher levels of assist, but it's just so responsive. You'll see when we get out there. I put the camera on the bike. The battery pack, I mentioned before, 36 volts, 13.4 amp hours, very capable, can be charged on or off the bike. Here's the charging port on this side, and there's a little LED power indicator so you can see how full it is if you're charging it inside. There's a nice little handle, locking core from Abus, very strong, excellent battery packs. And I like that, you know, if you get the second one, it seems like it'd stay out of the way pretty well up there. It's still not taking any of your rack space if you opt for the rack or your cargo space. So that's nice. Up here at the display, I'm gonna turn it off, shutting down. This thing is removable. So, I don't know, is this one locked to the bike, Chris, or can you try to get it off?
Actually, we did lock this one for our customer, yeah.
Okay, so there is a little set screw that you can put in up there, and then someone would have to completely take the clamps off, but normally you could take the display comes right off, and if you're someone who's parking in an urban area and maybe leaving it for a while, it's nice to take that with you so it doesn't get damaged. The display can be tilted forward or back to reduce glare, which I really appreciate. It's got a little micro USB port on the right side, so you can pull that little rubber flap up if you're not wearing gloves, and then plug in your phone, maybe use it for GPS. So that catering service, if they're dropping off supplies at a place they've never been, they could use their phone and they could pull straight from that battery as just the main power source. Same for the lights. Like, I love that everything is simplified like that. You don't have to worry so much about turning things on and off. It's all handled from here, including that light button. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the display on now. Press that power button. You can see battery levels up top, 5 ticks, we're pretty full. Speed in the middle. If we wanted to change from miles per hour to kilometers per hour, we'd hold reset and I for a few seconds to get in the settings. Then on the right, we have our levels of assist. You press the plus and the minus to go through. So eco mode, tour, sport, and turbo. I test in turbo a lot just to show like how powerful it is. And then down here we have a bunch of other kind of trip menus. So the I, here or here, will cycle through those. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We have odometer, trip distance, clock, max speed, average speed, trip time, and then take us all the way back to range. Oh, I keep passing it. Range is the coolest in my opinion because it dynamically tells you how far the bike can go based on the last 3 miles of performance, the remaining battery capacity, and the level of assist. So in turbo mode, it says you can go 25 miles. That's far for a pretty heavy bike, you know, and highest power. If we arrow down to eco mode, which basically just sort of takes the edge off of the extra weight you're carrying, makes it feel more like a traditional unpowered bicycle again, that's 79 miles. That's pretty intense. And part of that is because, you know, I'm riding it, I'm 135 pounds, and the tires here are slick. It's a pretty efficient bike, even with that suspension up there. So I think that's pretty good. There is a walk mode button, but I haven't seen it working on these Riese Müller bikes. I'm holding it right now. It's not working. Usually you have to be in one of the levels of assist and you hold walk and then it goes, but maybe that's, you know, see it says walk assist plus. Maybe, so walk assist, hold plus. There we go. Okay, I figured it out. Okay. I thought you just had to hold walk assist and it would go, but see, I pressed it and then you have to hold the plus button. So that's good. Maybe it works on all the bikes, Chris. We'll have to test it out. But you know, for a cargo bike like this, if it's loaded up and yet you're not in a position where you can ride it, well, having walk assist would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great feature. And then the big hydraulic disc brake levers, they got the knobs on the end so you can grab them if you have gloves on like I do today. You're not going to have a huge problem. Where do you want to ride? Should we get on this thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, maybe up this street or the one behind me. Which going to be less crowded?
We could probably go right up this street, right? Well, actually, the one behind is probably a little bit better.
Sweet.
One block right there.
Let's do it. So I'm going to try to move this thing around on my own. See, I'm going to turn the steering wheel or the handlebars. And then, see, that's the turning radius. That's as sharp as it can turn. It's not super sharp, but for such a large cargo bike, it's decent. Gotta make sure I'm in a decent level of pedal assist, sport, and I'm gonna go. Doing pretty well. I'm gonna turn right. There's the suspension. Now I need to shift gears, so I'm gonna do a handoff. Whoa, pretty stable, no-handed there. That upright body position. Cool. Chris, can I trade you off and maybe show what it looks like?
Sure. See if I can make this turnaround here.
Yeah, good luck. Nice. There we go. You can see that rear light. Got the headlight going. Very cool. Pretty awesome to be able to ride a cargo bike and film, and they are pretty stable, like, you know, not bad. One thing I forgot to mention while we're riding was this frame lock here. So this puts a piece of metal like right through those spokes, and it makes it so no one can run off with this bike. And for such a large, heavy bike, you know, that's probably gonna be a pretty good deterrent. Okay, I'm gonna set this to the highest level of assist. We're gonna head back to the shop. Might have seen the motor quit there. That's because we hit our 20-mile-per-hour top speed for the CX drive. Also, I shifted gears a little bit. You could hear them clunking along, but the Bosch system does have shift sensing, so it's supposed to kind of ease off and not be pushing quite so hard, which can be hard on your chain, your cogs, and your derailleur in the back. So that's a nice feature, something that Bosch offers a lot of the other mid-drives don't. And here's the charger that's used for the Bosch system. It's 4 amps, which is about twice as fast as most chargers. It's only 1.75 pounds, pretty compact, and it can be coiled up and put onto a rack or tossed in a bucket if you have it. So nice to get to mention that. They also have a proprietary plug, so it really shouldn't get confused with other systems. They keep the prongs very separate, and I haven't seen these break. They tend to be pretty solid. Well, that was an adventure. Thank you so much for, sharing the bike. It's great to get out and explore the interesting sights and sounds of New York City with you, Chris. I really appreciate it. That's the Paxster 80. Again, it's got the 80 centimeter. It's kind of their largest offering. For the full written review, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, have fun, ride safe.